Hi there, this is Mr. Mitchell and I'm here to show you how to use Microsoft Excel or Google Spreadsheets to repay a loan. The first thing you should know about Microsoft Excel is that each of these is called a cell. So if you go ahead and type something like 1 plus 2 into a cell, you'll see it show up and you'll also see it in the formula bar right here. If you hit enter, you'll see that that doesn't actually do anything. And the reason is that Excel is thinking of this as just some sort of string of letters that you're typing to it. So in order to tell it that you want to do a computation or a formula, you need to start that cell with equals. So if we type equals 1 plus 2, you'll see we get 3. Now, if you click on the cell, and you look up at the formula bar again, you'll actually see that it tells you that what we entered was 1 plus 2. And then the output here is being shown at 3. All right, so what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to put together a spreadsheet here. The whole thing is called a spreadsheet about how to repay a loan. So the first thing we need to do is create a list of months. So we're going to start at month 0 or month 1. That's what we start with. And then after that, we could start typing 1, 2, 3, etc. But this gets very tedious very quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to write another formula. Again, to start that, we're going to start with equals. And what we're going to tell it is we want it to take the previous thing above it. So we're going to click the cell above it. And what we want to do is add 1 to it, because we're essentially counting. And all counting is adding 1 every time. And if you hit enter, again, you'll see we get 4. Again, clicking on that cell, you'll see that while it's showing the output is 4, the actual formula from that cell is in the formula bar up here. And what it says is take whatever's in F5 and add 1. So for example, if F5, this cell F5, which is 3, were something else, no matter what it is, the next one would just be 1 more. So watch, if I change this to say 10, it's going to automatically update below it as well, because this new cell, F6, is linked to F5. So again, what F6 here is saying is whatever is above me, whatever is in F5, add 1 to it. All right, so I'm going to go back and change this to month 3. You'll see it updates again. And what we're going to do is we're going to extend this formula. It's called a recursive formula, and it's called recursive because it's doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And obviously, normally that would be a little tedious to do by hand, but it's much quicker when you use a computer. So in order to do this recursive formula, in order to extend this formula that says take what's directly above me and add 1, I'm going to move my cursor down to the very bottom right-hand corner of this cell, and you'll see all of a sudden my cursor changes to this black cross. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to left-click and I'm going to drag it down. And you'll see as I do that, it continues that formula. And each of these cells, you'll see this says take what's in F6 and add 1 to it. And then the one below that, take what's in F7 and add 1 to that. And then again, it just continues on. What it's always doing is taking what's right above it and adding 1. All right, now I'm going to extend this list all the way down to 60. If you go a little bit farther, that's okay. But we want to go to at least 60 because 60 months is 5 years. And that's a pretty common time period in order to pay off a loan. All right. So now the loan amount. Now we are going to change this later, and you can put really anything, but I'm going to start with $10,000 to start. Now that could be a car loan, that could be a college loan, but we're just saying that you're borrowing $10,000. Now the interest, for now we're going to assume is 0.5% a month. And the way I came up with that figure was a lot of loans nowadays, 6% interest per year is pretty common. And if you take a minute and think about it, you know, I'm paying 6% a year. divided by 12 months in a year, and so that equals 0.5% every month. All right, but remember, if we're talking about 0.5%, we really need to convert that to a decimal. In other words, 0.5% is a half out of 100, and when you do that on a calculator, you'll see you get 0.005, or 5 thousandths, we could also say. Now, Excel will do this computation for you. If you just tell it 0.5%, remember started it with equals, all of a sudden it'll tell you, yes, that's 0.005. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take that 0.005, or 0.5%, and we're going to take 0.5% of our loan amount. Remember, don't type 10,000. You want to reference it back to that cell. And again, the reason is when we later go to change the loan amount, say I only take out $5,000 in loans, and I hit enter here, the interest is going to automatically update, because what I've done is I've taken the interest and made a formula that references to the loan amount. So when I go again and change the loan amount back to 10,000, that will auto update. And that's really the beauty of Microsoft Excel here. All right, for the payment, we could really put anything. Right now I'm going to put 400. Again, this is something like the loan amount that I'm going to change. These are things I'm going to tinker with and ask myself, well, if I take out a loan of $10,000 and if I can afford to pay $400 a month, how long is it going to take me to pay off that loan? Or if I change it to something else, say I take out $5,000 in loans and I can only afford to pay $200 a month or $100 a month, how long is it going to take me to pay off this loan? Okay, we're almost actually ready to finish this off. We just have a couple more steps. The new loan amount, we're going to write another formula. So we need to start with equals. And what the new loan amount is, well, it's our previous loan amount. Now we also have to pay interest, so that's an additional cost. So that's something I need to add on. It's something else. So really, after this first month, I owe $5,025 because of the interest. And what I'm then going to subtract is what I've now paid. In this case, $100. You'll see again, if I go back and change this to $10,000, I'm assuming, this is totally an assumption and something you're going to play with, that I'm assuming if I try to take out a $10,000 loan and I pay $400 in the first month, you'll see, well, I had to pay $50 in interest, and then so I now owed $10,050, and then I subtracted my payment, and now this is how much I now owe, $9,650. So for the next month, when you're starting month 1, you owe this $9,650. Again, I don't want to type that. I just want to say that this new loan amount at the start of the next month equals whatever I owed at the end of the previous month. So it just equals this. Enter. And now what we're going to start to do is we're going to start to extend these formulas. Just like when we did in the month, we're going to start to extend these as recursive formulas. So if I take this 50, I select the cell, that's in my case, H2, but yours might be slightly different. And I, again, move the cursor to this bottom right-hand corner. You'll see it comes to be this black cross. And if I drag it down, you'll see it extends the formula. That all this formula is saying, take whatever's one to the left of me and multiply it by 0.5%, or take 0.5% of that, because that's going to be the interest I'm going to pay. Now this 400, remember, is very static. I say static because it's not changing. Notice I didn't even put an equal sign here. It's not really a formula at all. So it will recognize this as a number, but it's not doing any computations. So again, if I move that cursor to the bottom right, it turns to that black cross and I drag it down, it's just going to continue that on. It's not really a formula per se. I'm just extending it so I don't have to keep typing 400. The new loan amount, same thing. Bottom right-hand corner, black cross, drag it down, extends it. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you something a little bit funny. If I were to extend this formula down, you'll see I get a bunch of zeros. And the reason that there's all these zeros is because it's trying to take a 0.5% of something that's not there yet. So I need to extend this formula down. You'll see these are still zeros because remember these are just looking over here and there's still nothing here yet. Remember my current loan amount is whatever I ended with the previous month, but we haven't extended these yet. And then once I finally extend that last column, all of these zeros that you see to the left are also going to auto-update. And there you have it. All of a sudden, magic, eureka, it's all extending now. All right, now, to save you a little time, you can select an entire row and then go to the bottom right-hand corner of that and extend all 4 rows down all at the same time, and we're going to extend them all down to 60. And there you have it. Okay, so now you have this spreadsheet that you can tinker around with. You can change the loan amount. You can change the payment that you make every month. And that'll cause everything else in your spreadsheet to change. Now, if I'm looking at this, so we're assuming I'm paying $400 a month on a $10,000 loan. I scroll down, we can see, well, after a year, I still owe $5,682.55. Those other decimal places after this 0.55 are fractions of a cent. So normally we would round this off, but really what this says is $5,682.55 and 3/10 of a cent. And then these are even smaller fractions of that cent. If I keep going down to 24 months, 2 years, I now only owe $1,000 and $1,042.98. And again, these are fractions of a cent after that, 0.98. And then finally, you'll see that the loan goes from positive to negative. In other words, after month 26, I don't even need to make a full $400 payment to pay it off. Now, you'll see we did make one mistake here, that the formula started adding 1, it started extending. So we might want to fix that. You're probably not going to pay $405, $406, $407 every month. You could, but that would kind of be a weird pattern. So let's just go ahead and fix that quickly. Again, dragging down to extend my formula. And you'll see that, you'll notice that everything is kind of auto-updating there. All right, so there you have it. What you want to keep doing here is practice playing around, change your loan amount. If you take out less in loans or you take out more in loans, say you take out $15,000 to buy or purchase something, and play around with the payment as well. What happens if you pay more? What happens if you pay less? How long does it take you to pay off that loan? And that's what you're taking a look at. So good luck. I hope this was helpful, and feel free to ask me any questions. Bye-bye.